Lord, then everything becomes Brahma Karma Samadhina. Then that is known as Brahma Karma. That is spirituality. So what is the real spiritual karma? Or how we can spiritualize a karma? This is most important. Who is doing, what is offered, where it is offered, and who is sponsoring. What is his goal? Five things are there. Who is doing? Somebody is doing, huh? Somebody is taking the responsibility. Brahmarpana. What is he taking? That's more important. Where is he giving? It's more important. Who is giving? There is a sponsor, like in our temple. To whom you are giving? Okay, you say I'm giving to Narani Mataji. Okay, very good. Then, is Narani Mataji using it for her home, or is she giving it to the temple? Very important. That is most important, because not a rupee of a public should be taken, because it is their karma. The karma will affect. It is somebody's karma. You should be very careful about it. That is why in our temple, everybody is very careful, because I've taught this in the beginning, right from our staff members. They will not touch anything. Any donation comes in the kind also. It is not taken for home. Why? It is somebody's karma. It has to go to Lord only. It has to be used, because we don't have the rights for someone's karma. Yes, when it's offered to Lord, is distributed in public. If you are getting the chance, you can take it. So Brahma Arpanam, Brahma Havi. What you are giving? You are giving your hard-earned fruits. Where you are giving? In the mission of Srila Prabhupada. That is our Agni. Brahmana Huttam. Who is giving? More important. And then Brahmaivatena Gantavyam. What is the purpose of doing all this? So that we can spread the missionary task. That is only our purpose. Brahma Karma Samadhina. Then all these activities is spiritualized. Okay. Last time we have not read this, 24 verse of the Anupama read. We read, I think. No, I just explained. It's not right. Okay. Anupama read the purport, the verse and the purport.
ब्रह्मार्पणं ब्रह्महवि ब्रह्माग्नो ब्रह्मणाहुतं ब्रह्मैव तेन गन्तव्यं ब्रह्मा कर्म समाधिना. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. Purport. How activities in Krishna consciousness can lead one ultimately to the spiritual goal is described here. There are various activities in Krishna consciousness, and all of them will be described in the following verses. But for the present, just the principle of Krishna consciousness is described. A conditioned soul entangled in material contamination is sure to act in the material atmosphere, and yet he has to get out of such an environment. The process by which the conditioned soul can get out of the material atmosphere is Krishna consciousness. For example, a patient who is suffering from a disorder of bowels due to the overindulgence in milk products is cured by another milk product, namely curd. The materially absorbed conditioned soul can be cured by Krishna consciousness, as set forth here in the Gita. This process is generally known as yajna, or activities, sacrifices, simply meant for the satisfaction of Vishnu or Krishna. The more the activities of material world are performed in Krishna consciousness or for Vishnu only, the more the atmosphere becomes spiritualized by complete absorption. The word Brahma, Brahman means spiritual. The Lord is spiritual, and the rays of his transcendental body are called Brahma Jyoti, his spiritual effulgence. Everything that exists is situated in that Brahma Jyoti, but when the Jyoti is covered by illusion, Maya, or sense gratification, it is called material. This material veil can be removed at once by Krishna consciousness. Thus, the offering for the sake of Krishna consciousness, the consuming agent of such an offering or contribution, the process of consumption, the contributor, and the result are all combined together. Brahman or the absolute truth. The absolute truth covered by Maya is called matter. Matter, detailed for the cause of absolute truth, regains its spiritual quality. Krishna consciousness is the process of converting the illusory consciousness into Brahman or the Supreme. When the mind is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, it is said to be in samadhi or trance. Anything done in such transcendental consciousness is called yajna or sacrifice for the absolute. In that condition of spiritual consciousness, the contributor, the contribution, the consumption, the performer or leader of the performance, and the result or ultimate gain, everything becomes one in the absolute, the supreme Brahman. That is the method of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Six aspects. How can five aspects, important aspects in spiritualizing our karma? Brahma Arpanam, to whom you are giving or who is performing the yajna. Brahma Havi, what is he giving in the yajna? And then Brahmana, Brahmagna, where is he giving? Which Agni? Brahmana Hutam, who is giving? And then what is the goal? This can be applied anywhere and everywhere. It is not just the ritualistic sacrifice. It can be now, let us see. दैवमेवापरे यज्ञं योगिनः पर्युपासते ब्रह्माग्नौ अपरे यज्ञं यज्ञैनैवोपजुह्वति जुह्वति. Daivam, when you're worshipping the devatas. Who worship the devatas? Yogis. Okay. Yogis are worshipping the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them. So this is now yajna which is going on. They offer, the yogis are offering, and then there are somebody who gets this yogis do the worship. And then what is their aim by doing this? What is their aim? They want to attain Deva Loka. That is their aim. So by offering different sacrifices to them. Some of them offer sacrifices in the fire of Supreme Brahman. Now, some offer to demigods, some offer to Supreme Brahman. Among them, who is the best? Who offer to Supreme Brahman? Understanding. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणाय समर्पयामि. This should be understood. Ultimately, to whom you have to give this to the Narayana. So some of them are in knowledge. They give it to Narayana. But some, they only give it to the demigods. They think that we are doing, okay, Ganapati Homam, okay, for Ganesha, Swaha, Swaha. Somebody says, oh, you do for me. They also sit. The two people, they sit. It's only the person who does it. There is somebody who gets it done. And then they put the Havi. And the Agni is there. Laksha is what? They want to remove the obstacles. That may be the Laksha. They want to progress in the materialistic life. That can be the Laksha. But then how to spiritualize? You cannot call this as a spiritual. It's one of the spiritual path, but that is not the ultimate spiritual path. You can say it is a dharmic karya. It is a dharmic, what do you call dharmic, a religious activity. You cannot call it as a spiritual activity. If we are only just concentrating in the demigods, it is not. It has nothing to do with the spirituality. Yes, it has to do something with religiosity. When you say dharmic religiosity, it is better than being adharma. Better is okay, better than adharma. You are taking some demigods as an authority and you are doing it. It is better. Something is better. But that is not the best. The best is this last line. Brahmagno pare. Brahmagno apare. There are some who knows that Brahma means the absolute truth is the Agni. We have to perform it for the satisfaction of Krishna. That is most important. Now again, Supreme Brahman. They don't know who is Supreme Brahman. Impersonal Brahman. That is how they consider impersonal Brahman. So impersonal Brahman, the time they invoke, they don't have form. There are so many in the yajnas. They will do some mudras. They will invoke. They'll keep a kalasha and they will invoke, oh Supreme Brahman, please come. And in this way they will offer. Nothing is wrong because it has been given here. Nothing is wrong. At the same time, nothing can be called as the best. Now you are invoking impersonal Brahman. For them, everything is impersonal Brahman. Again, nothing is wrong. Do, Krishna says, at least do. Yajna, tapasya. Yajna is most important. If we don't do yajna, we will live in the hellish planet. Yajna purifies us because through the yajna, what you are taking, the remnants of the yajna. The remnants of the yajna purifies us. Now, there are people who offer bali. Hmm. Some devis are there. In Himachal, Kama, Kamaika, Kama,
Ramakya.
Kamakya, Kamakya. Somebody, Assam, Assam, Meghalaya, Assam. So somebody went there. Oh, Mataji, we saw that Bali. They they cut the goat, and the goat was still having the life. It was. I said, who told you to go there? Devotees are not recommended to go to the place where balis are done. That is also a, a path to train the people in tamas. Let it happen. There's nothing wrong. But we going there is wrong. Why there are people who are tamasic? Uh, There are people who don't accept anybody. So then Lord sends his representatives like Kali to have a tamasic form. So the tamasic form, they do it in a tamasic way of worship. At least they're accepting authority. If that is also not there, then they will start eating each other also without accepting an authority. So that worship is also powerful. For whom? Tamasic type of people. For Rajasic, Tamasic, there is a different type of worship. For having Satoguna worship, uh, but Jada, yeah, Jada Bharat. So now, for Satoguna worship, it is Vishnu. You worship Vishnu. So there are some people who worship Vishnu, but in an impersonal way. Okay? That is what is given. Brahmagnam apare. Agni is most important. Where you are giving. Agni is most important. Whom you are giving. See, there is one who is performing. There is one who is getting performed. What you are giving, but whom you are giving, that decides your goal. Like you're giving to Srila Prabhupada. Ours is a missionary task. People are also sacrificing. How they sacrifice? They give their donations. Whom, who, where, why, what. This is the only thing which will decide whether your activity is spiritual or not. Whom you are giving, what you are giving, where you are giving, who is giving, what is their goal. In that, Agni will decide what is the goal. Not only Agni decides, yes, Agni decides. So that Agni decides, then somebody has to give to Agni. So Agni, what is it Agni? Whether it is Tamasic, Rajasic, or Sato. That is a Lakshana. That is your Agni, where you are giving. And what is your goal? Tamasic, Rajasic, or Sato. That is most important. Okay, read. And Rajit Prabhu read.
Hare Krishna. Devamevapare yajnam yogina paryupasade brahmagnavapare yajnam yajnenaivopajuhyadi. Some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them, and some of them offer sacrifices in the fire of the Supreme Brahman. Purport. As described above, a person engaged in discharging duties in Krishna consciousness is also called a perfect yogi or a first-class mystic. But there are others also who perform similar sacrifices in the worship of demigods, and still others who sacrifice to the Supreme Brahman or the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord. So there are different kinds of sacrifices in terms of different categories. Such different categories of sacrifice by different types of performers only superficially demark varieties of sacrifice. Factually, sacrifice means to satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who is also known as Yajna. All the different varieties of sacrifice can be placed within two primary divisions, namely sacrifice of worldly possessions and sacrifice in pursuit of transcendental knowledge. Those who are in Krishna consciousness sacrifice all material possessions for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, while others who want some temporary material happiness sacrifice their material possessions to satisfy the demigods such as Indra, the sun god, etc., and others who are impersonalists sacrifice their identity by merging into the existence of impersonal Brahman. The demigods are powerful living entities appointed by the Supreme Lord for the maintenance and supervision of all material functions like the heating, watering, and lighting of the universe. Those who are interested in material benefits worship the demigods by various sacrifices according to the Vedic rituals. They are called Ishwaravadi or believers in many gods. But others who worship the impersonal feature of the absolute truth and regard the forms of the demigods as temporary, sacrifice their individual selves in the supreme fire and thus ends their individual existence by merging into the existence of the supreme. Such impersonalists sacrifice their time in philosophical speculation to understand the transcendental nature of the Supreme. In other words, the fruitive workers sacrifice their material possessions for material enjoyment, whereas the impersonalist sacrifices his material designations with a view to merging into the existence of the Supreme. For the impersonalist, the fire altar of sacrifice is the supreme Brahman, and the offering is the self being consumed by the fire of Brahman. The Krishna conscious person, like Arjuna, however, sacrifices everything for the satisfaction of Krishna, and thus all his material possessions as well as his own self, everything is sacrificed for Krishna. Thus, he is the first class yogi, but does not lose his individual existence. Hare Krishna.
Who is a first class yogi? A Krishna conscious person is a first class yogi because he doesn't lose his individual existence. He is not merging in that supreme Brahman. Because merging in the supreme Brahman is only a temporary aspect. Because the Ananda aspect is not experienced. Sat and Chit is experienced, Ananda is not experienced. Now let us see. Brahmacharis and the Grahasthas. What is the difference? How they are sacrificing. Just give me a second. श्रोतादीनिन्द्रियाण्यन्ये संयम्याग्निषु जुह्वति शब्दादीन् विषयानन्यः इन्द्राग्निषु जुह्वति श्रोत्रादीन् इन्द्रियान् अन्ये श्रोत्र आदीनि hearing processes, different hearing processes. Indriyani, the ears do that, senses do it. And not only ears, through the eyes also. First, eyes are also there, ears are many things are. When you have to go and hear something, legs are also occupied, hands are also occupied, everything, the whole body, senses. So now what he has done is this hearing process, the senses, anye, that means others, sanyamye, they have restrained it in such a way that they have given this to the fire. Which fire? Fire of mental control. And what is that mental control? That is to the Guru. They have given their senses to the Guru. That is how the brahmacharis, it is unadulterated brahmachari sacrifice the hearing process and the senses, the fire of mental control. Who can control them? Mental control can be controlled by our own mind? No, the mind is completely given to the spiritual master. So that is a fire. What they have given? Senses they have given. Because now they have joined the ashram. So naturally, the brahmacharis means one who has joined the ashrama. So naturally, they have given their senses to the fire of mental control. That means they are given to the spiritual master. Others, even the regulated householders, regulated brahmachari, regulated grahasthas, what they have done, they have sacrificed objects of the senses in the fire. Which fire? In the fire of senses. Objects of the senses in the fire of senses. How to understand this? Object of senses. TV is there. He has sacrificed. Sacrifice means given up. He has given up material enjoyment, where in the fire of the senses. I want to see something, I want to eat something, I want to hear something, which will add up to my material enjoyment. So then what he has done, that object only he has put it in the fire. No, I will only do whatever is where Krishna is in the center, keeping Krishna in the center. I'm only going to do that. That is how, in the fire of senses, giving the object of senses. Now you are studying. You could have seen TV or not. No, you have restrained your senses. How you have restrained? By putting that object of senses in the fire of senses. What the brahmacharis have done, they have given their senses only to the supreme, to the fire of mental control. They have given their senses to the guru. You use my body in whatever way you want. Now the guru gives a target. You do this, you do that. Then the devotee does that because he has completely given himself to. It is not necessary a person has to be in ashram. Even if a person is outside, but some completely conducting the life like a brahmachari, then he also becomes a brahmachari. Brahmacharitaha refers means, brahmachariti means brahmaniti janati brahmachari. You can be in the ashrama, or you can completely control your senses and be in the ashrama wherever you are. So there is a book, Brahmacharyataha, written by Bhakti Vikas Maharaj very nicely. Grahastha Brahmachari, Vanaprastha Brahmachari, 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 Grahastha Brahmachari, Vanaprastha Brahmachari, Sannyasi Brahmachari. One who is interested in the propagation of the holy name, and also uh, he is interested in chanting and propagation, and just wants to connect everyone to Krishna, wants to read the scriptures. So that person is a brahmachari. So one should not understand just, well, now see, if a propagation of the holy name is there, Nayan Manjari brahmachari. So she's also present, she also preaches very nicely. So then, what is he doing? He is chanting, he's making others chant, he is reading the scriptures, he's propagating the scriptures. That is most important. For that, who is required? Guru is required. So regulated brahmacharis are one who follows those things, and one is who is leading those things. Both are also important. One is following, one is leading, one is giving his senses to the guru. Then guru says you do this and do that. Then that person has to do it. And to whom is getting done, that is regulated brahmachari. That is regulated householders. So what they have done, they have given their senses in the fire of sense objects in the fire of senses. Okay, now read. Gaurang read. Gaurang brahmachari read.
श्रोत्रादीनिन्द्रियाण्यान्ये संयमाग्निषु जुह्वति शब्दादीन् विषयानन्या इन्द्रियाग्निषु जुह्वति. Translation. Some, the unadulterated brahmacharis, sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control, and others, the regulated householders, sacrifice the object of the senses in the fire of the senses. Purport. The members of the four divisions of human life, namely the brahmachari, the grihastha, the vanaprastha, and the sannyasi, are all meant to become perfect yogis or transcendentalists. Since human life is not meant for enjoying sense gratification like the animals, the four orders of human life are so arranged that one may become perfect in spiritual life. The brahmacharis or students under the care of a bona fide spiritual master control the mind by abstaining from sense gratification. A brahmachari hears only words concerning Krishna consciousness. Hearing is the basic principle for understanding, and therefore the pure brahmachari engages fully in Harir Nama Nukirtanam, chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. He restrains himself from the vibrations of material sounds, and his hearing is engaged in the transcendental sound vibration of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Similarly, the householders who have some license for sense gratification perform such acts with great restraint. Sex life, intoxication, and meat eating are general tendencies of human society, but a regulated householder does not indulge in unrestricted sex life and other sense gratification. Marriage on the principles of religious life is therefore current in all civilized human society, because that is the way for restricted sex life. This restricted, unattached sex life is also kind of yagna because the restricted householder sacrifices his general tendency toward sense gratification for higher transcendental life. Hare Krishna.
So their purpose of coming together is to beget Krishna conscious children. There is no other. Unrestricted sense enjoyment will only lead to frustration. But restricted householders, what they do, they control their sensory desires. Next. Sarvanindriya karmani prana karmani chapare atma संयम योगाग्नौ jhuvati jnana deepite. Now see, we are talking about now Agni and what is put in the Agni. That is what, and who is doing that. More detailing has been not given. Why 5 people anyhow are there? Then how to understand whether it's spiritual or not. Agni is most important. Who is giving? Purpose. What is he giving? Who is giving? What is he giving? And where is he giving? Now let us see. Sarvani Indriya Karmani. Prana Karmani cha apare. Atma Sanyamya Yoga. Now, yoga process. So those who are interested in self-realization, what is the purpose of performing yoga? So that one understands what is samadhi. Because in yoga, what comes? Yam niyam. Follow the rules and regulations. Sit in a proper asana. Then control your breath. Yam niyam asana. Pranayam. Then not only control the breath, but even from the mind. Because when you are doing your pranayam, naturally you are not doing any work that time. You have taken your senses away from the sensory things. Now you are concentrating in your, what do you call, pranayam. Inward, outward. Inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, whatever it is. But after that, in the mind, suppose laddus and all goes on. I want to eat this, I want to eat that. Then even from the mind also remove. Pratyahar. There are some yogis, they do very strictly. The hours and hours, they just concentrate. But suddenly some thought process can come. Menaka can come and dance. Vishwamitra got deviated because of that. Anybody can come and dance. So now rasgullas are coming and dancing in your consciousness. Then what you should do, even from the mind also remove pratyahar. Remove pratyahar. How to remove? Dharana. Take something else and focus. Dharana. Then dhyan. Focus in that. Bindu. Let me take one drop, one point. Somebody concentrates on the bindu. They just concentrate on the bindu. Dharana, dhyana. But then after that bindu, what is that? That is why samadhi is important. What is samadhi? Samyagadiyatesmin atmatattvatme. Completely understand what is my constitutional position. If that dhyana is on Krishna, that is why yogis need the association of devotees to perfect their sadhana. That is their process. Sadhana means that is their process. To perfect that, they should know on to whom they should meditate on. Then they will understand what is samadhi. So that is why those who are interested in self-realization through the control of mind and senses, to become a perfect yogi, yes, one has to control mind and senses. Senses by doing pranayam, mind by pratyahara dharana dhyana. Now, they offer what they're offering, the all the functions of their senses. They will run about here and there. They're sitting in one place. All the functions of their senses they have offered. Okay? And they have offered even the life breath. Life breath. They don't breathe very fast. They control. They control. They just don't go on breathing, something like that. No, they talk less, they breathe less, so their ayu is also long. Now, where they're doing these all things? In the fire of controlled mind. The mind also should be controlled. It is a mind which runs first. Mind runs, senses run. That is why you call Mumbai as a passionate place. Why? Everybody are running. You see, from morning to evening, everyone is running. Mind is running. Even the dreams also, you have the running mind. Whether you are in spirituality or anywhere, you don't have calmness there. Why? Because everything is, the whole place is passionate. You run, everybody run. The Prabhupada says, better run with Bhagavad Gita, marathon. That is real controlled mind. Anyhow you want to run. In villages, where they run? Who is going to buy? So in the cosmopolitan cities, or maybe in the small cities, what they do? Run with the books. At least your mind will be controlled. So there are different ways to run. Here is given all the functions of the senses, but yogis don't take that. Yogis say, we don't want to run with the Bhagavad Gita also. We want to just sit with a controlled mind. Mind can be controlled only when it is trained in Krishna consciousness. If it is not trained in Krishna consciousness, mind can never be controlled. About it, India is going to come in this chapter where Arjuna says, what controls the mind? How to control the mind? Mind itself runs faster than even the wind. So controlling the mind, even in that at the time, that is in Dwapar Yuga, was very difficult. In Kali Yuga, controlling the mind is most difficult. That is why controlled mind means trained mind in Krishna consciousness. Okay. Diya read. Diya. Diya is sleeping or what? Anupama, you read. Diya read.
I'm traveling, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Read. Yes, you're traveling. Who is that iPhone? Who is that in that iPhone? Whose it is iPhone? Okay, Chandrapati Prabhu, you read. Anupama, you only read. All are sleeping, I think. Read.
सर्वाणीन्द्रिय कर्माणि प्राणकर्माणि च परे आत्मसंयमयोगज्ञौ जुह्वति ज्ञानदीपिते. Others who are interested in achieving self-realization through control of the mind and senses offer the functions of all senses and of the life breath as oblations to the fire into the fire of the controlled mind. Perfect. The yoga system conceived by Patanjali is referred to herein. In the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, the soul is called Pratyagatma and Paragatma. As long as the soul is attached to the sense enjoyment, it is called Paragatma. But as soon as the same soul becomes detached from such sense enjoyment, is called Pratyagat. The soul is subjected to the functions of 10 kinds of air at work within the body, and this is perceived through the breathing system. The Patanjali system of yoga instructs one on how to control the functions of the body's air in a technical manner so that ultimately all the functions of the air within become favorable for purifying the soul of material attachment. According to this yoga system, Pratyagatma is the ultimate goal. This Pratyagatma is withdrawn from activities in matter. The senses interact with the sense objects like the ear for hearing, eyes for seeing, nose for smelling, tongue for tasting, and hand for touching. And all of them are thus engaged in activities outside the self. They are called functions of pranavayu. The apanavayu goes downwards. Vyanavayu acts to shrink and expand. Samanavayu adjusts equilibrium. Udanavayu goes upwards, and when one is enlightened, one engages all these in searching for self-realization. Hare Krishna.
Now let us see. Dravya yajna, sapo yajna, yoga yajna, sathapade, swadhyaya yajna, yajnascha, yataha samshita vrataha. Let us see another type of yajna. What are the other types of yajna? Dravya yajna. Somebody wants to give their possessions. Very nice. Tapa yajna. Somebody wants to sacrifice by performing lot of austerities. Then yoga yajna. Somebody wants to take up ashtanga yoga. See, one is tapaha and ashtanga. Both is different. Both is different. Performing various asanas, that is yoga, ashtanga yoga. Tapasvis, they just stay nude, they go, they meditate upon, they do lot of austerities. There are people who walk on the street, they pull their hairs. There are Jain monks and all. They don't take bath. The moment they take the sannyas, they don't take bath, they just walk without chappals. There's all tapasvis, giving a lot of difficulties to the body. Some people they sit in the fire near, they keep a band of fire circle, they sit in between. Somebody goes in the water and stands there for a long time. A lot of tapasvis are also there. Tapasvi and yogis are different. Tapasvis give a lot of difficulty to the bodies. Yogis also give, but in a different way, performing a lot of asanas. There are people who study Swadhyaya, they study the Vedas. There is also one yajna, they're giving their time for that. Jnana yajna. And somebody wants to understand the transcendental knowledge. Now, cha yataha samsitaha prataha. In this way, for all of these things, they should have strict vows. Even to give one's property is not so easy. Somebody gives a check, 1 lakh. It's not so easy to give, but hard to give. There is a sacrifice. So all these are done by enlightened persons. That means they want to progress in the spirituality. So about the karmis have been given, jnanis, karmis, jnanis, yogis, and then bhakta. In the bhaktas stages, some are studying Vedas, still not understood what is bhakti. Some are trying to study the transcendental knowledge and try to understand what is impersonal Brahman. And some take the shelter of the spiritual master and take up directly to the highest level of bhakti. Okay? Vijit Prabhu, read.
Hare Krishna. द्रव्ययज्ञस्तपो यज्ञ योगयज्ञस्तथापरे स्वाध्यायज्ञानयज्ञश्च यथाय संसितव्रत. Having accepted strict vows, some become enlightened by sacrificing their possessions and others by performing severe austerities. By practicing the yoga of enlightened eightfold mysticism, or by studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge. Purport. These sacrifices may be fitted into various divisions. There are persons who are sacrificing their possessions in the form of various kinds of charities. In India, the rich mercantile community or princely orders open various kinds of charitable institutions like the Dharmashala, Annakshetra, Adithishala, Ananthalaya, and Vidya In other Vidyapitha. In other countries too, there are many hospitals, old age homes, and similar charitable foundations meant for distributing food, education, and medical treatment free to the poor. All these charitable activities are called Dravya Maya Yajna. There are others who, for higher elevation in life or for promotion to higher planets within the universe, voluntarily accept many kinds of austerities such as Chandrayana and Chaturmasya. These processes entail severe vows for conducting life under certain rigid rules. For example, under the Chaturmasya, vow the candidate does not shave uh, for 4 months during the year, July to October. He does not eat certain foods, does not eat twice in a day, or does not leave home. Such sacrifices of the comforts of life is called Tabo Maya Yajna. There are still others who engage themselves in different kinds of mystic yogas, like the Patanjali system, for merging into the existence of the absolute, or Hatha Yoga, or Ashtanga Yoga, for particular perfections. And some travel to all sanctified places of pilgrimage. All these practices are called Yoga Yajna, sacrifice for a certain type of perfection in the material world. There are others who engage themselves in the studies of different Vedic literatures, specifically the Upanishads and the Vedanta Sutras or the Sankhya philosophy. All of these are called Swadhyaya Yajna or engagement in the sacrifice of studies. All these yogis are faithfully engaged in different types of sacrifice and are seeking a higher status of life. Krishna consciousness, however, is different from these because it is the direct service of the Supreme Lord. Krishna consciousness cannot be attained by any one of the above mentioned types of sacrifice, but can be attained only by the mercy of the Lord and his bona fide devotees. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is transcendental. Hare Krishna.
The mercy of Lord is very much important. That is what is given here. Krishna consciousness can be attained by any one of the above types of sacrifice, but can be attained, cannot be attained. Krishna consciousness cannot be attained. You do anything, but only by mercy of Lord and bona fide devotees, Krishna consciousness can be attained. Okay. We'll do this last verse. Here. Yeah. अपाने जुह्वति प्राणं प्राणे पानं तथा परे प्राणापानगति रुद्ध्वा प्राणायामपरायणः अपरे नियताहारः प्राणान् प्राणेषु जुह्वति. Apane juhvati pranam. What is apanavayu? Which goes down. Pranavayu, which goes up. Now, what is doing? He is offering apanavayu in the pranavayu. That means he is diverting the direction of the air. So, that is how in yoga you divert. You are completely diverting. That is why one comes out of the actions. Apanam tatha apare pranam. So the apane, that is the air which goes downward, is restraining now. He is putting it he is completely changing the movement of the air. Outgoing breath into the incoming breath into the outgoing. And last, he stops even the breathing also. He stays for some time like that. So both the things that is known as Rechaka, Kumbhaka, Rechaka, that all. Pranayama, Parayana. In this way, he is so inclined. In this way, they are controlling. And for that, they required control eating also. And then Praneshu Jugati. So others, they curtail their eating process, offer the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice. Now you do like this. It should go, na? That means you have taken the air, which has to go down. Now you have bringing it up now. The air which goes down, you are making it come up. And the air which goes up, you are bringing it down. So in this way, this Rechaka, it is actually a process which has to be understood properly. Like this you do, then you stop, which is known as Rechaka. Then you are increasing by practice of Kumbhaka, one increases the life, the duration of life. So when both the currents are stopped, you have to stop it. That is known as Rechaka. Okay. Then you take it. Again you stop it. And the more you practice it, the more long life you have. Life is dependent not on the years. Life is dependent on how many breath you take. So the yogis, they try to breathe less so that they can elongate their life. Their longevity increases. If a breath is 10, but you do this type of running about, they go for jogging and all. Actually, they breathe fast. Their breathing is not increasing their life; it is just reducing their life. Though they may become slim and trim, but better is yoga system. There they take less breath. But you see these modern exercises, going in the gym, what will happen? You breathe fast, because there you require a lot of breathing. That is why though you may be physically strong, everything, but your life is reduced. On the contrary, yoga systems increase your life process, your longevity increases, anxiety reduces. A person who runs, who goes to their anxiety actually increases. This modern type of exercises increases their anxiety. On the contrary, you sit straight, you perform your yoga, you eat less. All these things will actually what happens? There your mind is focused. You experience a bliss. Maybe that bliss is not to that extent of bliss, at least some peacefulness is experienced. Okay. Devotees should do some little bit yoga. Then you say, where we have time, 16 round chanting, that itself is an yoga. Prabhupada says, when you chant very nicely, seriously, with focused mind, that is an yoga. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. You're not breathing, na? You're stopping the breath. So in this way, if a devotee chants very strictly and sincerely, with focused mind, actually is doing yoga. You say straight and you chant, automatically you will experience that calmness. But while chanting, if we do many multiple activities, then we don't understand the glories of chanting also, calmness is also not experienced. Okay, Gauranga, read. Gauranga, you chant how many rounds? 16?
I chant 9 rounds.
9 rounds. Which class you
are? 8th grade.
8 points. Okay. Chant. Read now.
Apane juhoti pranam, prane panam tata pare, pranapana gati rudva, pranayama parayana, apare niyatahara, pranan praneshu juhoti. Translation. Still others who are inclined to the process of breath restraint to remain in trance, practice by offering the movement of the outgoing breath into the incoming and the incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing. Others, curtailing the eating process, offer the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice. Purport. This system of yoga for controlling the breathing process is called pranayama, and in the beginning it is practiced in the Hatha Yoga system through different sitting postures. All of these processes are recommended for controlling the senses and for advancement in spiritual realization. This practice involves controlling the airs within the body so as to reverse the directions of their passage. The apana air goes downward and the prana air goes up. The pranayama yogi practices breathing the opposite way until the currents are neutralized into puraka, equilibrium. Offering the exhaled breath into the inhaled breath is called rechaka. When both air currents are completely stopped, one is said to be in kumbhaka yoga. By practice of kumbhaka yoga, one can increase the duration of life for perfection in spiritual realization. The intelligent yogi is interested in attaining perfection in one life, without waiting for the next. For by practicing kumbhaka yoga, the yogis increase the duration of life by many, many years. A Krishna conscious person However, being always situated in the transcendental loving service of the Lord automatically becomes the control of the senses. His senses, being always engaged in the service of Krishna, have no chance of becoming otherwise engaged. So at the end of life, he is naturally transferred to the transcendental plane of Lord Krishna. Consequently, he makes no attempt to increase his longevity. He is at once raised to the platform of liberation, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 14.26. Mam chayoga vicharena bhakti yogena sevate sargunan samati taitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in unalloyed devotional service to the Lord transcends the modes of material nature and is immediately elevated to the spiritual platform. A Krishna conscious person begins from the transcendental stage and is constantly in that consciousness. Therefore, there is no falling down, and ultimately he enters into the abode of the Lord without delay. The practice of reduced eating is automatically done when one eats only Krishna prasadam, or food which is offered first to the Lord. Reducing the eating process is very helpful in the matter of sense control. And without sense control, there is no possibility of getting out of the material entanglement. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Mam chayoga vicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Where does avyabhichari bhakti, unmotivated and deviated devotional service to Krishna, then Krishna says he crosses these three modes of material nature. Okay, stop here. Wednesday will meet. Yes, any you have a question? Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Mataji, 4.27, Pranavayu. So there we're talking about Apanavayu, Vayanavayu, and then Samanavayu. So this is a little bit confusing.
There are 5 types of air. Prana, Pana, Samana, Vyana, Udana. And
Okay.
all these vayus have their own functions. That is also given. What are the functions of the vayus? There's something used for digestion. Something is used for, like you have the blood circulations. You have for prana, apana, throwing out your dirty airs. That also has to go out. So everything has their own function, and if a person that like for functioning, you need one type of air for functioning, for running about, that is also one type of air. For digestion, that is also one type of air. For inhaling, for maintaining the yes, whole body maintaining. So Krishna has given these types of air: prana, apana, vyana, samana, udana. Digestion, samana. You have to balance your body. There are some people, see, they are having that when diseases come, they cannot, they just hands shiver, Parkinson's. Why all these things? Why nervous system? Why your nerves are not functioning properly? Air doshas. That is why in Ayurveda, what they check is your nadi. What type of air is now less in your body? For vata and all those things. Not that one medicine is going to cure everything. Fever has come, or loose motion is there, something. You're not feeling hungry, appetite is not good. Then what is less in this way? In yoga system, what you do, you balance all these airs properly. Like how to have your Agni, Jathar Agni. You don't have hunger. Then how to increase that hunger? Without hunger, how will you eat? This way. So these 5 types of the air balances our body. Something is wrong, then yes, you have some pains here and there. Okay, but yoga system can help. And generally yogas are done in a bright place, in sunshine. Okay. Nowadays in AC they do yogas. Yogas are done where nice sun rays is there. You have your full vitamin D. Okay. You want to chant one verse?
Which verse?
Now you read the Chaitanya Chaitamrita verse. Vishnu Kirtan, want to chant?
No.
No. Okay. Hare Krishna. Panchakalpadubhyascha. Kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo